Hello gorgeous people, how are you feeling today? I hope you are well. I am feeling quite perky just for the fact that we've been getting some warm, I dare say, dry days. Never mind the warmth, it's the fact that we're having dry days and sunshine. And I was thinking about this last night about why is it making me so happy just to see the sun? And I think it's purely because the autumn and winter were so bleh. But yeah, so I'm feeling perky just for a bit of sunshine. Right, I've got a ton of stuff, props in front of me. All sorts, much to catch you up on. Where should we start? Okay, I'm going to start with a mystery parcel. Rustle, rustle, rustle. So I had a delivery the other day from the company with the smile on the box, and it was addressed to my PO box. So I know it's not something from a real life friend because they've got my home address, so I know it must be something from one of you. The bag, it says, the label says 10 pack of vegetable grow bags with handles, 5 gallons. So like the ones I've got in the garden, I assume, you know, the sort of the black, they're almost like felt. So 10 5-gallon vegetable grow bags with handles. That's not what was inside. So I don't know if, just to say as well, I really don't need any more growing bags. I've still got a few unused ones in the shed. But anyway, how lovely, how kind, how thoughtful, someone has wanted to send me some grow bags. Inside the packaging was that. A black plastic drink bottle. I have no idea. That is definitely not a grow bag. But anyway, thank you to someone. There was no note in with it either. Thank you to someone who tried to send me, I think, some grow bags. I hope you're watching today, and if you are, I would be getting onto Amazon, it was Amazon, and getting a refund, because if you pay for some grow bags, that's not what I got. I got a plastic drinks bottle, which, I mean, I wouldn't use, I'd always have metal or glass anyway, but thank you for trying. That's the best we can say, isn't it? Oh, actually, also, just while I'm on the post, thank you to Isabel for your lovely parcel, your lovely letter. What a joy to read. And she finished it, and I'm going to come on to books in a bit, but she finished it by mentioning the novels, the detective novels, by L.J. Ross. So the detective is Detective Ryan. And she said I might like them because they're up in the northeast, if they're in Northumberland, so that the scenes are set, talking like I'm in telly. The locations in the novel include Holy Island, Sycamore Gap, Durham Cathedral, Kielder Forest, and it goes on. And I was just reading that list, and just reading the list made me smile because they're such gorgeous, gorgeous places. I associate all of those places with my sister. I was on Holy Island the day she had her first treatment when she first got diagnosed with cancer. She worked at Durham Cathedral, spent a lot of time in Kielder Forest. So yeah, it made me smile just reading that list. So thank you, Isabel. And yes, I will try my best with the linens. I'll see what I can do with them. Thank you, lovely. And I also had from Annette, I think you've been having, did you say you've been having a clear out? She's also in Dorset. Hello, Annette in Dorset. She sent me a copy of this lovely book, Dear Friend and Gardener, and it's letters between Beth Chatto and Christopher Lloyd, two of our sort of most famous, highly respected garden writers. Many of you will know Great Dixter, which is Christopher Lloyd's garden. Many of you will know Beth Chatto for her mantra of right plant, right place. So if you've got a very dry, arid garden, don't plant a moisture loving plant. Likewise, if you've got a very wet, soggy garden, don't plant plants that like a dry, arid soil. Anyway, so this arrived and I've actually already read it. So it came out in 1998 and I read it when it came out. But when it arrived, I was between books. So I thought, oh, well, I'll have a little dip in. I just need to wet my whistle. I'll have a dip in. Like I said, it's a series of letters going backwards and forwards between them. I just dip in until I was waiting for a library book. Anyway, I ended up reading the whole thing again. Thank you. It's really lovely. It is very heavy on the gardening, the context of their letters. So if you're not a gardener, you probably wouldn't really get it, dig it, enjoy it. You might enjoy it, but there's more besides the gardening. So there's quite a lot of cooking talk between them, especially because Beth talks about her vegetable garden in the letters a lot. I really liked the chat about the vegetable gardens, even more so than the flower borders, etc, etc. But she'll say, oh, I had the first of such and such a vegetable and this is what I made with it. So it's very gentle, it's very lovely. And I marked a page because it made me chuckle because I've just so mine. She's talking about the vegetable garden and she's talking here about tomatoes. She says, tomatoes too are cropping well. Gardener's delight. That's what I grow. I felt so validated when I read that. It's like Beth Chatto, queen of right plant, right place, has gardener's delight. The tomatoes are cropping well too. Gardener's delight. They hang in such heavy trusses, it seems a shame to spoil the picture, but pick them I do. Some I give away, leaving plenty to skin, liquidize and freeze. So she even preserves them the way I do, although I don't even bother skinning them these days. I just liquidize the whole fruit, pips, skin, the lot, liquidize and freeze. But yeah, that tickled me as I was reading it because I thought, I know that feeling of when those trusses are hanging heavy with those beautiful, beautiful fruits that are getting more and more red by the day, and especially when the sunshine is on them. I think I don't want to pick them because they look so beautiful hanging there. Anyway, Annette, thank you for sending that. I will pass it on. It was lovely to reread it, and particularly that little passage about Gardener's Delight tomatoes really made me smile. So thank you, thank you, thank you. She also sent a little booklet, a little pamphlet. Thank you, lovely, which I'm not going to talk about at the moment. I'm going to talk about it in a video much further down the line. It's a video I've been wanting to make for ages, ever since I moved down here. Last year got a bit busy, and then when things got a little bit more like, a bit of breathing space over the winter, it was chucking down. And the video I want to make involves me being out and about around Swanage. So when I've got a dry day, when I'm free, never free, I will refer back to this little pamphlet. So thank you so much. Utterly lovely. Right, some consumer news and a consumer grr. So, when I moved in here, I needed to buy a washing machine, fridge and a freezer because, of course, the ones I had in London were all built in. So they were part of selling the flat, the buyer gets all of those. Now, when I was in London, I needed to replace, in the end I needed to replace the fridge and the freezer really shortly before I moved. They both went kaput. I mean, they survived for 21 years or something. And then they died just before I was moving. Sod's law, isn't it? So if you remember back to then, I had terrible trouble finding a company who would deliver up my stairs. They were going, oh no, it's more than my job's worth. But I did find a company in the end who would bring the appliances up my stairs and fit them. And that was A.O. I'm sure many of you have used them. So I had such brilliant service from them then that when I moved in here, it was a no-brainer that I would go back to that same company to have my appliances bought from them, but also brought into the property, not just like delivered to the doorstep, because I can't manage these big things on my own anymore. Once upon a time anyway, so I used AO, and at the time I mentioned this, so this is a bit of a little bit of a, oh, be careful. They have a membership scheme which costs £40 for a year. It's £39.99, we'll call it 40 quid. And if you're a member, you can get various discounts. So there's a ton of the appliances where, you know, it might even be £80 off. So the membership is worth getting to get money off the appliances. As it happened, the appliances I wanted didn't have any money off, but you can also get things, that membership, like, I think things like free delivery, free installation, free removal of your old appliances. That one didn't matter here because there were no old appliances. But it was, anyway, the point is it was worthwhile for me. So I spent the 40 quid on the membership and I saved £60. So my net saving was 20 quid. Now, there are probably people out there who would say, oh God, it's hardly worth it just for 20 quid. But you know what? I was going to say I pinch my pennies. I'm not penny pinching. I'm not mean and miserly, but I do watch the pennies, because little savings, like 20 quid there, or even, you know, 5 quid here, 3 quid there, always making sure, and I'm coming on to something else with reference to that, but always making sure that I'm getting the best deal I possibly can, and wherever I can, trying to get a bit of money off, a bit of a saving. So 20 quid for me is well worth it. But here's the warning, warning, warning. As you know, now I've lived here a year, and I must have ordered those things. I think I ordered them literally the second day I was here, as in the first day that I woke up in my new home, must have ordered them, because a year to the date, and I do it every morning, I know it's part of my routine. I'm online, I'm on the computer, I reply to comments, reply to emails, reply to messages, do all of that kind of stuff, but I also check all my bank savings, whatever, accounts. Just a quick check, only takes a couple of minutes. And I know how much money I've got everywhere. I know it to almost to the penny. I certainly know it to the pound. And I looked at one account and it was 40 quid less than it should be. So I immediately clicked on the show transactions, and it's a drop down menu, and I saw AO membership £39.99. The membership had auto-renewed, which I think is a little bit naughty. I think auto-renew is, and that's why I'm saying just be careful. When I applied for it back in this time last year, when I went online and said, yeah, I'll do the membership, I would have read all of it pretty carefully, terms and conditions and that sort of thing. I don't know how I missed a box. There should be a box somewhere to say, do you want to auto renew, yes or no? Anyway, so I saw that and immediately got the grump and I thought, okay, don't panic. Go back onto the website. I had to log in, and of course I don't know my password anymore, so reset the password, and it's like, oh, there I am, that's my account. Had to look around a bit. You know, it's very easy to sign up for these things with a couple of clicks. It's much harder to sign out of them or get rid of them. But eventually I found the little section that says it's about cancelling membership, and I had to make a phone call. So it's one of those things, I think, this was in the news recently about making it, I think there are laws coming into effect to make it easier to cancel subscriptions and memberships, and one of the things they want is for us to be able to cancel it in the same way that we started it. So I would have started it with a couple of clicks online. I should be able to, anyway, never mind. I rang, and I wasn't on hold, more of that in a second too. I got straight through, and she was very friendly, very nice, and she just said, you know, why don't you want it? And I said, because I'm not going to be buying any more appliances. I just don't need it. And she said, fine, there'll be a refund in your account within 5 days. And sure enough, after I think it was 3 days, they'd refunded me. So I would say I have been really, really pleased with the service from them, both in terms of the people who've brought the appliances to both my properties, you know, on time, great communication in terms of emails to say your delivery day is such and such a day, the day before to remind you your delivery day, clear the space, what have you. So all the communication around it has been brilliant. The actual people themselves coming into my home have been brilliant. The products I've been perfectly pleased with. It's just that one little thing of, I don't think I wish auto renew didn't exist, or I wish you had to opt into it, put it that way, because sometimes auto renew could be useful, but opt into it rather than having to opt out. Anyway, even so, they dealt with my complaint problem. Let's say they dealt with my problem really efficiently and politely, and it was all pretty easy to do. But bear in mind, that's also because I check my accounts every morning. So just goes to show it pays two things, doesn't it? One, really read the small print very closely, but also check your accounts each day. I mentioned also just then about being on hold. This was something I heard on it was on the radio somewhere. It's a company somewhere, they have done some research and estimated that in Britain, adults, we spend, on average, across the year, we spend 9.7 hours on hold. So I heard that and I quickly made a note of it. And I thought 9.7 hours on hold per year. And they were just talking about how infuriating it is. It was on the radio because they played a piece of on hold music that I recognised. It's like, no, I'm having this kind of Pavlovian response to this music. I could feel this kind of frustration building inside me. Anyway, 9.7 hours across the year. And I thought, do you know what? I'm sure there have been times in my life where I've done 9.7 hours of being on hold in a week. Yeah, they didn't ask me in their survey, but I mean, do you think that's? I mean, it seems absurd. That's nearly a full working day lost each year to being on hold. But the more I thought about it afterwards, I didn't think 9.7 hours across the year. That seems too little. What do you think? I'm sure. I mean, there've been times when I've been on hold. I mean, more than an hour. Oh, it's infuriating, isn't it? And you know what? That's another reason why I prefer to do things face to face. You know, with a shop, with a company, whatever it is, because then at least if it's face to face, I can go back and be face to face with them again and hopefully get somewhere. Being on hold, I think it's one of the absolute blights of modern life. Yes, I know there are worse things going on in the world, but you know what I mean? On our little ordinary domestic day-to-day lives, being on hold. I'm not going to talk about it anymore because we're going to all wind ourselves up. Okay, continuing with the consumer news. Do you remember the Earth Conscious deodorant? Still going strong. So I've been using it. I thought I can properly review it now. So I've been using it for a month and a half. At the time I mentioned in terms of cost, weight for weight, it's cheaper than Wild. And if you remember, I stopped using Wild because they got bought out by a horrible company. Which one? There are so many horrible. Is it Procter & Gamble or SmithKline? It's one of those big nasty companies. Anyway, I needed to find a new company for my deodorant. This is a company based on the Isle of Wight, so it's a stone's throw. For those of you who don't know the Isle of Wight, if you've seen any of my videos where I'm down by the sea pointing the camera out into the bay, in the distance you can see some white cliffs. That's the island. In the distance, that's the Isle of Wight. So great, they're local. The packaging is completely cardboard, so everything about it so far, that's great. but does it work? Because if it doesn't work, it can have all those great qualities and it doesn't mean anything. Yes, it works. I picked this one, Indian bay leaf and orange. I picked it because of the flavour, the scent. I didn't realise it's actually one of the strong protection ones. It's fine. It works. I'm really happy with it. I like the smell. It works. So in terms of cost, I mentioned weight for weight, it's cheaper than Wild. So this one, it's £10 and I reckon it's going to last 2 months, maybe a little bit more than 2 months. I also mentioned when I first bought it, they do a subscription. So if I do the subscription, it'll be £9 per deo. Great. Let's go a bit cheaper. However, bearing in mind what I was just saying about savings on the appliances, there's a postage cost, and I can't remember. And I was trying to see if I've got it on my computer where I ordered it. Anyway, I couldn't find it. But let's say the postage is £4 because it's deeper than a large letter, so it's going to be small parcel. Let's say it's £4. That's rounding it up. It's about £4. So if I buy one on its own for £10 and I pay £4 postage, it makes it 14 quid. So if I did the subscription, it would make it 13 quid. However, they also do free delivery if you spend £25 or more. So 3 of these would cost, without the subscription, 3 would cost 30 quid. But there's no postage, so they would be £10 each. With the subscription, I'm never going to subscribe to 3 each month. That's far too many. So if you're a family of 3 or more, you could subscribe, and even with the subscription, you'd get free delivery. What I'm trying to say is it's cheaper for me to not subscribe, because that would make them £13 each, and instead buy 3 at a time, which would be 6 months or so's worth of deo, get them for 30 quid, no delivery. So that's the cheapest way I can do it, and that brings them to 10 quid as opposed to 14 on its own with delivery or 13 subscription with delivery. So that's what I mean about just doing a little bit of maths and just thinking, what are all the different permutations? What are all the different ways I can do this? And which of the different ways that I can do this is going to be the cheapest? And that is certainly going to be the most economical way for me to do it, is buy 3 in one go, get free postage, and do that twice a year. Fantastic. What else? So, excuse me, a couple of books to share with you now. I bought this one for my shop. I just saw the title, Wild, Tales from Early Medieval Britain by Amy Jeffs. I bought it for the shop. It was brand new, in perfect condition. And I had it sitting in the pile waiting for me to photograph it and get it uploaded. And I thought, oh, again, I was between books because I was waiting for the book that I'm about to, the next book from the library. I thought, I'm going to give it a quick read. Oh, I really enjoyed it. So there are 7 or 8 different chapters: Earth, Ocean, Forest, Beast, Fen, Catastrophe, Paradise. 7 chapters. And each chapter is in 2 parts. The first part is Amy Jeffs has taken a bit of early medieval text, whether it's a poem, a lot of it comes from the Exeter book, the Book of Exeter. So this is all early medieval, so it's sort of 5th century CE to about, it's sort of pre-conquest literature or writings. And so she reimagines the poem as a short story, and then the next part of each chapter is her reflecting on it. Hang on, I'm doing it on my hoodie, so I'm feeling a bit chilly. It's her reflecting on it and the ideas in the poem and that the people of that time, why would they have thought about, you know, monsters in the sea or the scariness of the woods and what lurks in the woods and banishing people to the woods or banishing people to an island. what was going on in their minds. And then she also does a little bit of exploring herself, goes to various sites around the UK. She goes to a long barrow, a burial barrow, into a cave. It's quite eclectic. I really enjoyed it. It was a bit different to what I was expecting, but the reimagining of the stories I just thought was so beautiful, and each one of them, by the end of it, and they're just a few pages, I get to the end and I think, no, I want to know more, I want this story to carry on, I want to know the ending. So it's at the period of, if you think of like something like Beowulf, and then right at the end there are a few of the poems, and there's the original medieval English, and then it's on the other side in translation if you want to read a bit more. Yeah, really, I really enjoyed it. The back is going to praise it better than I can say. In Wild, Amy Jeff's journeys on foot and through medieval texts, manuscripts and objects, from landscapes of desolation to hope, offering the reader an insight into a world at once distant and profoundly close to home. Inspired by the Old English poems of the Exeter Book, the Welsh, pronunciation, Anglinion, and the Imrama of Irish tradition, as well as surviving early medieval artefacts of gold, garnet, stone and whale's bone. These stories give voice to figures who tread the borderlands of early medieval literature, women, monsters and animals. Yeah, loved it. It marries words and images to create a special echo of this country's rich past. Loved it. Anyway, so now it can go into the shop. Now I've read it. I'll reduce the price a little bit for the fact that it has been read, but it's been read carefully and taken care of. And each chapter starts with there is lovely woodcuts to start each chapter. Yeah, really interesting. Kind of just a slightly different take on our history, our countryside, our psyche, our spiritual lives, our social lives. Really enjoyed it. So the reason I picked that up was because I was waiting, and it finally happened, for my library to get in for me. Let me just take my notes out to get this in for me. Ali Smith, Glyph. Now, you might remember I spoke about this back at the end of, I think it was about February. It was published in February. And the reason I was tempted, so it's fiction, is because of the Radio 4 programme Take 4 Books, in which an author will speak about their latest book, plus 3 other books which have influenced them, either influenced them specifically for that book or influenced them in general. So Ali Smith was on talking about glyph. There are 2 different glyphs that she's written. This one is Glyph, the other one is Gliff. And I said to her, oh, that sounds interesting. So I immediately went to my library and said, can you get it for me? They haven't even bought it yet. So this has never happened to me before, ever, ever, ever. I'm the first person within Dorset libraries to read this. It's brand new. I even got to, because it had been ordered, and I went to collect it, and you can sort of self-collect. So when you self-collect, you self-stamp. And I messed up. I missed the stamp on the first bit. So I had to re-stamp it. But I'm the first person to stamp the book, even. Anyway, sorry, putting that excitement aside. It's really hard to describe her work in a nutshell, because what I love about Ali Smith is the way she plays with form and the form of novels. So generally we think of a novel as having a beginning, a middle and an end, and there's an arc to the story and there's some sort of resolution for our characters at the end. She doesn't necessarily do that. It feels much more impressionistic. It almost feels like stream of consciousness at times. So I think if you like Virginia Woolf, you like Ali Smith. She plays with the language, she plays with punctuation. So it's hard to describe her work. But in a sort of nutshell, well, central to this book are 2 sisters. And it was that on the radio that made me think, oh, because I'm one of two sisters. And it's about stories from the past being with us in the present, stories from the past haunting us. Are we haunted by the story, or are we actually being haunted? So there's a bit of an idea of ghosts. There's ghosts in this book. What's lovely is we go backwards and forwards in time. So we get the sisters when they're young, when they're sort of pre-teens, and then we get the sisters again much later on. I don't know if we know how old they are, maybe in their 40s, but you know, properly adult. And I really adored the passages where they were both young girls, they share a bedroom, one of them needs comforting one night, so the other tells her stories. And it's that kind of blurring of lines of, I'm making a story up, am I imagining it? Or did this thing happen? Someone else has told me a story from way back in time when they were really little. I've heard their story. I'm now retelling it. Am I making it my... Has it become my story? Am I actually living in it? Are the ghosts with me? So you see, it's kind of hard to describe. But it's lovely when they're children, because they flit and they flip-flop between ideas. They'll be chatting about something and then suddenly go off a tangent and it's something else, and then their thoughts and ideas go all over the place. How kids' brains work. And actually I identify with it because that's how my brain works, and anyone who's been watching me for a while will know how I can go and generally come back to the point I wanted to make, sort of a la Ronnie Corbett. What else? Oh, so one of the big things in this, there's a horse, there's a story that comes from the Second World War about a horse that is blinded by mustard gas. It's so sad. There are bits in this which made me properly get damp of eye and scratchy of throat. So that theme of war threads through the whole book, and so there's that wonderful juxtaposition between these two girls who are playing and make-believing and being silly and giddy and then running off home for their tea, and then that juxtaposed against all the awfulness and the horror of war. It's really cleverly done. The central character is an adult remembering their bits from childhood, and what I loved, and I thought, yes, this is another thing I can really identify with, and I'm sure many of you will too, of it can be the smallest memory. So it might be, I think there's a wedding. Let's say that a wedding. So you attend a wedding when you're 6 years old. Don't know who half the people are. Some distant relative, and the whole memory is really pretty hazy. But there'll be one part of it which is incredibly sharp still, and it might be the pair of shoes that someone was wearing who was on the dance floor, and that pair of shoes were noticed, and it's clear as a bell in one's mind still. So sort of plays with that too, of this sort of like the big hazy pictures, and then these really, really specific details. I find the way she writes, I find there's something so truthful in it about how our minds work, both when we're right here and now just chatting, all those things of memories. It's brilliant. So yeah, it's lovely. I suppose one of the central themes of it is how the two girls, they protect themselves with stories and with their imagination, and that for me is also another truth. So yeah, I highly recommend it. I don't think it would be everybody's cup of tea, in so much as I just said right at the beginning, that she doesn't really write that kind of beginning, middle, end, resolve everything for all the characters type of novel. It's more, it's more impressionistic. It's almost like reading a poem. I mean, it's written as prose. It is written as prose. but it's, oh gosh, there's something so ephemeral about how she writes. It's really hard to nail down. I hope I've piqued your curiosity. It's a very short book, it's a very short read. I read it, well, 2 evenings. I didn't do a long session each one. So if you think, ooh, I'm intrigued, as I was when I heard her chatting on the radio, then see if your local library has got it in yet. Hopefully they have it in by now. And go along and grab yourself a copy. Really loved it. And finally, because I realise I've been yapping a bit already, I'm going to talk about another book. There have been a couple of others that I've read. I'm not even going to bother talking about because they'll be here forever. They're back on my shelf. But I'm going to tell you about the Rachel McLean Dorset crime series that starts off with the Corfe Castle murders. I'd picked up another couple. I've read the entire series. Oh my goodness. So library as well, and a couple were sent by a friend. So they're great fun. Look, it's crime. I have to be careful. It's like, okay, someone gets killed, but it's make-believe, it's okay. I say they're fun because they are absolute page turners. They are unputdownable. They're all about 330 odd pages, and I read all of them in, each one I read in a single sitting. It's about a 3.5 hour read, so maybe 4 hour read. So if you go to bed at 10 at night with your book, you probably turn the light off at 2 a.m. because you can't put them down. She's very good at doing cliffhangers at the end of each chapter. For example, let's say our character is hiding in the bushes and she's watching, you know, a figure in sort of doing something in the ruins. And she's like, who is it? Who is it? I can't tell who it is. Who's that in the ruins? And just waiting, and then he turns and she sees his face and she recognises him, and it's ... Wait for the next chapter. So you have to just keep reading. Look, I'm just going to say from the outset, it's not great literature. It is not by any means. She's got a couple of habits which are a bit annoying as a writer that it could have done with editing. It's slightly lazy because she attributes something but then attributes it each character. So for example, she has a bit of a habit of saying, especially in the first 4 or 5, and pretty much every character does it, they have to roll their shoulders to ease the tension. It's like, stop telling me about that. But then the worst one is she says that the character licked their lips. But that literally every character in the books at some point licks their lips, and it's almost in every chapter. You're like, okay, enough with the lipping. I know you're trying to increase the tension or whatever, or show us that character's tension, but it's too much. Anyway, apart from that, I'm being really, really nitpicky, by the way, with that. Like I said, it's not the greatest writing ever, but it's really entertaining and addictive. The chapters are very short. Some chapters are 1 page long. Most chapters are probably 4 or 5 pages. To give you an idea, 330 pages, chapter 77. So it's almost like a kid's book in that way as well. But what struck me with these short chapters is they're all incredibly televisual. And I'm willing to bet, I'm not a gambler, but I'm willing to bet at some point they're going to be made into TV dramas, because A, the settings, hello, Purbeck, gorgeous, more of Dorset as well. The settings are beautiful, but the way she writes, she might have, because she's the DCI, she's the boss, she might send one of her detectives off to go and interview someone at a farm. She might send one of her detectives off to go and view the post-mortem. She might have another detective back at the office doing checks on the computer, and she's off somewhere else. So we've essentially got 3 or 4 characters, and they're spread in different directions. So there'll be a chapter and it's her, and she's at the scene of the crime, and then she's on the phone, and the phone then takes us, next chapter we're at the post-mortem, and then the next chapter we're at you know, the office, and they're going to say, oh, we found something, they've got a record, phone it in. So in that way, yeah, you can see it as a TV drama. And also it's quite a useful device because it keeps the pace going and it kees all the threads. We keep having all the different threads being pulled in together all the time. So yeah, did someone say it sounds like Enid Blyton for grown-ups? Yeah, it's Enid Blyton for grown-ups. I liked the characters are fun. Oh, and the other thing, because I did say at the time I didn't know if this was relevant, and I asked the guy at the Oxfam bookshop, did I need to read them in order? Yes, you need to read them in order. So this is the first one. I didn't read number 2. I couldn't find a copy. The library didn't have a copy. It didn't matter. I skipped it and went to number 3. The reason you need to read them in order is in book 1, this one, the main character, the DCI, is introduced and we get a bit of her background, and her background comes up, it ties into book 5, I think it is. So not only do we get the story in each book, there's a kind of a sub-story going on. Before she arrives in Dorset, the previous DCI has died. And at the time it's judged to be suicide. But that thread keeps going, and she's nosying because she thinks it's not suicide. So yeah, so you need to read them in order because characters get introduced in each book and they continue. But yeah, great fun if you've got a chance. So that was number 3, The Island Murders. That's on Brownsea Island. And then I think that was number 6, Fossil Beach. These are the ones I got from Chatty Catch-up. Fossil Beach Murders, that's at Lyme Regis. And then there was the Blue Pool Murders. There's the Ghost Village Murders, so that's the one that's set at Tyneham, which is the little ghost village. It's sort of between Kimmeridge and Lulworth. You can visit Tyneham, it's mostly at weekends because it's right within the Lulworth Ranges. It's the Army's ranges, so that's where they do manoeuvres and practice things, and they have firing ranges. So a lot of the time it's closed because you don't want to be fired on by the army. But yeah, if you see them when you're out and about, grab a copy, especially if you can get this one first. Ask your library. Yeah, they're fun, they're a romp, they're a dead quick read. So literally, I don't know how long ago it was. These were literally done, I just said literally twice, sorry. They were done and dusted in a little over a week. Brilliant. Really addictive. She's done others. So at the end of the Dorset crime series, we've been introduced to a character who was in Birmingham where she starts, and then that character ends up in Cumbria, and I think there's a spin-off series called the Cumbria crime series. Oh, and also it goes without saying, one of the things I particularly enjoyed about this is because I know everywhere, I know all the settings. I knew the pub that she was going to in Wareham, I know the street that they're on in Corfe, I know the particular road when they're in Tyne, is it the Tyneham one? But anyway, they're going down the road to Lulworth, I know that road. There's stuff in Swanage, so it's lovely to be, all those images, those places are so clear in my mind. It's fun, it's like, yeah, it's in my backyard. Give them a go. Right, that's more than enough. I've talked for way too long today. I should have warned you to get a cup of tea ready. I will see you all again soon. I think probably we'll be back out in the garden because it's that time of year. It's now going to be, more and more and more to get on top of things. I'm getting there though. I've made some good progress. So yeah, I think I'll see you in the garden next time. See how I've been getting on. So until then, happy reading. You know, don't be afraid to give things a go that you think, that was so random for me, really enjoyed it. I'm so glad I took the punt on that and got onto my library straight away. And I'm so glad that it was brand spanking new. It's not often I have a brand spanking new book to enjoy, and part of the enjoyment is the The smell of new books. I know, weirdo. All right, lovelies, I'm starting to do an Ali Smith and my ideas and thoughts are pinging everywhere. I will see you soon. Until then, look after yourselves. Cheerio, lovelies. I'm back just for a very quick PS because my doorbell just rang. I just had a delivery and I think, there's no label with it, but I think it's from Carla and it's my Easter egg. I say Easter egg because it's not chocolate. If this is you, Carla, or whoever it is, thank you so much. So I've got some tins of tomatoes, a bag of mixed lentils. It's just all like, yes, yes, yes. And finally, oh my goodness, sun-dried tomatoes. It says dried naturally under the Greek sun and the cool Aegean sea breeze. No preservatives, no roasting, just natural. How gorgeous. I will think of that Greek sunshine and cool Aegean sea breezes. I have cool English Channel breezes instead. Thank you so much, lovely. You know I will put it all to very good use. Sun-dried tomatoes might wait till the summer when it's more like salad season. Oh, I could just eat them out of the bag. Anyway, thank you very much. And this time I really am going. So I will see you again soon in the garden, hopefully. Until then, cheerio.